what it is. The energy, if you ask me, is good because I get to be honest and I don't have to just agree. Now, we look at the T. Let me draw it again. I'm glad I'm still screen sharing. This has nothing to do with Thor at all. This symbol predates the whole mythology of Thor. That's the problem you're making, Santos. You think that you're going back old when you go back to biblical-based foundations, or when you go back to mythology. And the oldest form of all things is symbology. And when you talk about symbology, let me do this. The T is the Trinity. It's 3 points. It's the trident. It's also the alphabet E. The T is the 3 and the E as well. Now, let me show you how this works. I'm glad I'm here that I can share new ideas with y'all, cutting edge research. But when you outline this T, again, you always have to outline this stuff to get the truth. This is the mistake we're not making. Most people will see a T and they'll say what Santos said. Hey, that just means Thor. No. Scales. It's a womb. It's a sacred vulva. And it's the Superman symbol. It's the inversion of the pyramid. That's the capstone, because they create a diamond, which is a dia mound or diva mound. A mound that's created by the binary code, which the binary code is the binary code, the bending of Nut. Her bending is what creates the tension. The root word 10, which is the binary code. 10 is sin. 10 is Zen. That's why we say dozen, and that's 12 because dose is 2. Zen is 10. Zen became sin in the Bible. When you talk about syncretism, you have no idea what syncretism is if you're not syncing it all with the binary code or the Great Mother. She is the master syncretist. The moon god was called Sin. Sin is sign. That's the sine wave, is the serpent around the tree in the garden that was cursed. That's the sound energy that you keep referring to, but yet you turn right around and curse it, Santos. That sound that created the entire cosmos was not masculine. It's feminine. Sound wave is curvy. Masculine is linear. That's why Gabe is the masculine. She's the feminine. The 9 is a spiral. She represents this is needle and thread string theory. When you look at the sine wave, finish this so I don't get off subject. The capital T is balance and scales, guys. Thor is the root word of Thursday. All right. It's the root word of Hey Thor, which is the cow goddess, another form of this Ma'at. This T is Ma'at with her wings spread. This is the Great Mother. T is tree. This is the shape of a tree in the ground. So when you think of a tree outside, the roots, the trunk, and the branches, that's the mother, that's the father, and the womb. The womb is always in the middle of them both. That's why Ma'at, who balances the scales, wear the feather in the middle. The feather deals with light. Light is something that shines, but it also is the opposite of weight. All right. So your spirit is composed of light. Light has no weight to it. The stars don't have a weight to it. Everything that exists that has a weight comes from the realm of weightlessness, which is the gateway or the womb. Masculine and feminine comes from feminine. All right. Feminine is the androgynous or the neutral sex. The womb man is both sexes. The T is the Trinity. So both sexes come from the womb man, which is the portal. So when you think of Adam and Eve and the tree of life with the serpent, that tree of life represents the womb, the T. So when they tell you in the Bible to stop worshiping the golden calf, it's telling you to stop worshiping the sacred womb. It's telling you to stop the balance. And that's my problem with the bull or the sacred cow that the Bible is cursing is the womb, as you can see here. It's the tree of life. We all come from it. It's the Holy Grail. There's one at the center of the earth. Those talk about the beginning of the earth starting with atum, which is the resonant sound tum. And that sound, that's not masculine. That's a ripple effect. If you drop a rock into the water, it will create a north pole at the center because it will be a drip. When you drop the rock in the water, let me show you. Into that ripple effect, have this home. The cow was a holy cow and it was cursed by Christians. Now, if you look at this, this is Krishna, crown of the Pope, playing a flute of Pan. Krishna and all of these gods is nothing but the Pope and Jesus again, over the matriarchy. And we got to get back to the womb. And Jesus that he came from. If you look at this art right here, it shows you Jesus coming out of a yoni or a womb. And I just showed y'all a minute ago, when you outline the cross, you get this same shape. It's nut around there. Christianity hid this, and they turned it into a dumb Ark of the Covenant, a little box, when really this is the firmament. So Christianity hides this great mother that encloses and protects us all in her womb, in her pregnant belly. And they give you atum as the primordial source, when we all know man and woman come from the womb. As above, so below. Why would it be any different in the cosmos or in religion or mythology? Anybody telling you something different, not in tune with nature? The primordial source. The phallus is second. The Y chromosome is a mutated X chromosome. The thing is this. When you try to start us off with a tune, you're not taking us back to Atlantis. You're not taking us back to, see, a tomb is a form of Pangea. The root word of Pangea is pan, and the word left is Gea, which is geography or the earth. Pangea is pan earth, meaning an earth that's under the rule of the god Pan, the goat god, which is Jesus, the ram, the Sphinx. So Pangea is another form of Darwinism, evolution, and Big Bangism. But it's telling you all of the continents started from the center and was spread out. Guess what? Pangea is another Hellenistic ideology that the Bible supports. You got to understand that the Bible is a book that reveres the pan concepts. So when you remove the great mother, you remove the true origins of humanity. All things come from darkness. That has nothing to do with atum. Even atum comes from darkness, because atum is just the light. Atum ain't nothing but the child of the darkness, meaning when the darkness had an idea, it was all of us. But the idea is not the source. It's an expression of the source. The man is an expression of the womb that he come from. The man is a immaculate conception and has a very important role that he'll never know if he put himself in the woman's place. Because Santos said earlier that Jesus looks very feminine. That's because these male deities replaced the great mother. Jesus with his hands spread on the cross, great mother with her hands open to her children. She represents love, meaning come give me a hug, boy. She didn't have to die for you because she lives for you. This death concept and worshiping death and a man dying from you is what creates this miserable hellhole that we live in. Things are proven with blood sacrifice. We have to get out of that. If you look at the three objects above Nut here, it's the same three objects that you see it down, but you will see it carved in the wall of Egypt, which is the sun and moon, sun or the womb that eclipses them both. So the fact that Santos know that these male gods homosexual gods or transsexuals. I would call them she-male gods because a deity, but he looks just like a beautiful woman. And to me, that's mind programming. These are the same people that's pushing transsexualism and homosexuality on the world now, who created these deities like Jesus and Krishna. The people who are regular heterosexual people who want to be in tune with nature and practice veganism, we want to go back to the great mother and Mother Nature. The great mother, if you got homosexual deities impersonating her. This is not the great mother. This is a copy. Patriarchal deities are in the way of humanity getting back to what can really help us all, which is the great womb. Our earth shapes like a great womb. In cosmos here, diamond shape. And that is what Jesus hid from us. If you look at this picture of Jesus here, he's diamond shape or a great womb. But most people don't pay attention to that because they're blinded by Jesus. And they think he's the primordial source when really the truth is hidden behind him. It's the womb.
Also in our teachings here, and Brother Sanchez, you and I talked about this before, is when we talk about the creator, which is the creator of, like, say, us and all our beautiful things with us. The creator, which is a feminine being. So we call her the Great Mother. So she's the creator of the creator. And people don't see, like, they only learn to a limit, and then they don't see past that limit. You know, our teachings go back thousands of years, and they never changed. When we learn a teaching, we have to teach it back to our elders and to our medicine men so that we don't stray away from that teaching. So the reason why I know the story and our creation story is because it's drilled in that, okay, you can't just stop at thinking that there's only one creator, as in the one that everyone calls God. There was a creator of that creator, right? So that's the feminine that we talk about. So when you do see the, say, a dome or whatever, you know, when we have our sweat lodges, when we have our, you know, you go through your fasts and stuff and you go into that sweat lodge and you go into it, it's dark. There's steam in there for, you know, and you go in there naked, and it does represent being inside the womb. And that's where a lot of people see their visions and all this wonderful stuff. And you know what I mean? But it does represent rebirth when you do that. I just had to throw that in there. It correlates with your talking about the feminine goddess.
Yeah. It's because Jesus is the kite, not the Christ. When you outline the cross, you get the kite. That's the womb that he's coming out of here. The kite is what allows us to take flight. When we have a funeral, your casket, right? Let me show you something. And I'm glad Marlena here with me. And Santos here with me with it too. So we can, it's because look at like a yoni, or the womb of a woman. That double diamond that I keep telling y'all about, when you take the cross and you outline it, you get that womb shape that Jesus was just bursting out of. That's because I keep telling you that the tomb is the womb. Your casket is your kite. The ground, you are parallel to the earth plane, and you taking a flight back into the womb of your next mother, and wherever you pop back out on this infinite plane is the world that you are in, based on how you left here, what level you was vibrating on, determine how you'll be born into in your next incarnation. So resurrection, when we go into the tomb, we go into the womb. When they place us in the casket, we're being also placed into the womb of our next mother. And this all is in darkness. It's dark in that tomb, and it shapes like a womb of a woman. And I just showed you Jesus coming up out of that tomb on the artwork, and it shapes the same way. That's because the tomb is the womb. It's not about death. There's no such thing as death. There's only endless beginnings. is reincarnations or resurrections. But Christianity teaches you that there's only one life, and afterwards it's either heaven or hell. And it takes away this beautiful science that I'm giving you and the infinite nature of our souls. There is no such thing as physicality. All is atum. I say all is spirit. Because when you talk about the creation of the earth, it's just like a ripple effect. Let me break it down real quick, and I'm going to pass the mic. The North Pole would be the drip. Rock into a water, it create a drip above it in the water, but also create at the North Pole is not an explosion or an implosion. It's both of them happening. And it's hard to explain. It's not an implosion or explosion. It's both of them. It's like a newplosion, a neutralplosion. It's hard to explain. But when you drop a rock into the water, happen. You create a dent on the surface of the water, and you also create drips above that indention. That is Mount Meru. This is our Earth cosmos, and the part you see dripping up from the center is Mount Meru. Now, everything that's the ripple effect that's spreading out from the center is all the life right now, the vibration drop in the ocean.
You know, we're working on our map here, right? So that everyone can get a better understanding. And we've been working on it for the last 3 weeks now. And the very center, which is Mount Meru, we have they have a picture of a teepee. Because, you know, representing,
and that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah. So it has the four pieces, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing. That's where life came from and is, always will be. Sorry, Brother Sanchez, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted to tell you, you're going to enjoy the map. It's humongous.
Yes, and you kept breaking in and out on me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Marlena sounded all right here.
Oh, okay. It's just for you then, brother. She hears me fine.
You know what? Let me go ahead and get my mic. What we're looking at now is Mount Meru, according to the Vedics. I'm going to pay attention to the shape of it being a diamond.
Right.
And saying earlier with Jesus coming out of this same shape, they got him as the center pole where the mother goddess should be, or where the womb, the great womb should be. And the two thieves that's on the side of Jesus is sun and the moon. But Jesus shouldn't be there. It should be the womb. I say that we're in trouble if we're only going to go back to our tomb. Is Adam, the first. Now, if you look at Mount Meru or Eden here, you can see the ripple effect. Trying to mention, you can see how the ancients had all of these circles rippling from the center, but that center spot is an upward mountain, a vertical mountain like you see here. The universe was created ripple effect. That mountain at the middle of the earth is just what Marlena said. If you look at this ripple effect, that a mountain will be created when you drop that rock. Now, what I want to point out is some very esoteric science real quick, if I can have just a few more minutes. Everything that's rippling outward from this center is all of the life consciousness, the ground we walk on. So in the beginning, if there was darkness and the Most High, which is the darkness, then the point of reference from that idea became an instant creation. So the Most High things to manifest this world, meaning when the Most High had this idea of this creation, it came into existence instantly. And that was made by picking up some rocks so I can build trees, and let me pick up some of this water so I can make oceans. Nothing existed. There was only darkness. So where did the Creator get the materials to create this world from? Well, if you ask the Big Bang, they say it was darkness, and then it was just an explosion out of nothingness that created everything we see. Now, the spiritual thing about our reality is that everything comes from the invisible world and go back to the invisible world, and nothing is permanent but the thought. So if you burn up every picture of every Mona Lisa, the picture will still come in and out of existence because the thought never dies. So the thought world, a dream world that we can't touch, is the real world. It's the same thing, but the reason we perceive it as physical is because we are tuned into this realm. If you have a dream right now, you say, well, my dream isn't a physical place, but while you were in the dream, it was physical. So physicality is an illusion. Physicality is based on touch, the nervous system, feel, and smell. And no matter where you go, you're going to always have the senses. So physicality can't be escaped. It's an expression of spirituality. So these are the two things that builds our reality, the yin and the yang. But this ripple effect, they both merge together from the center. So if we were to get into a boat right now and travel toward the North Pole, the more and more it'll feel like we enter in a dream world. The more we get toward the center, the more and more telepathic abilities we'll pick up, because the North Pole is like a big antenna.
It is, and that's where it's. So no, I want to just build on what you just said, and then you can keep going. The middle of the North Pole, where we're calling it the North Pole because that's what we're used to. But the middle of what we call Turtle Island, Mother Earth, that's where the Northern Lights are, right? Which the Aurora Borealis or whatever, and that's where travel used to be. And that's an energy that comes out of there. And science always tries to make up these different ways, the reason why these happen. But part of our teachings is this is the way they used to travel into different realms and different parts of the plane itself, that you can go through these places in these 4 quadrants and end up somewhere else.
Yep.
And it's a very sacred, still a very sacred place. And this is why they took it off the map.
It's a portal. It's a portal, and the Egyptians and Greeks hid it back in the ancient day order. That wouldn't be considered ancient because it was just in the 3100s. But there was a time leading up to that where they hid this place as well. Pole, it's a portal like they show you on Star Trek, and it shows you that nothing in this realm is physical. Because when you enter that portal at the North Pole, it's hopping into darkness. And when you enter that darkness, when you open your eyes, you are wherever you want to be. So if I close my eyes and picture the Bahamas and I fall asleep, I may just well project myself into the Bahamas. I've done that before. I've been falling asleep watching some on TV, and I dream that I'm in that movie. So you can project yourself into places. There's just enough, there's more space inside of you, outside of you, and the cosmos we're looking out at outside is in us. We recreate this same North Pole when we go to the dream world. This cosmos that we're in is not a place, it's a code, and it's the template for consciousness. So when you go to sleep and dream at night, you recreate this same template. You create the same sun, the moon, the North Pole. All right. And you can't escape this template because this is like the Windows software that the computer is running off of. And you can ascend to higher levels and redo a whole nother template. But I think this is like the basic, the most high, the original thought that we base all thoughts off of this one. So if you think about how this earth was created, it wasn't. It was just simply thought into existence. And everything we do upon this earth is simply thought into existence. Every invention, even the microphone I'm talking on, it comes from the realm of thought, because this entire earth is simply a thought surrounded by the darkness or the skull. That darkness is the skull, because your pineal gland is surrounded by a dome or a firmament. World inside of you is what creates the world outside of you, and vice versa. So this Mount Meru concept is very intricate. The reason we can't understand a lot of this stuff is because the farther we are from the center, the weaker the signal is. So when we migrated out of Eden, the further away we moved from the center, the more we had to develop spiritual technology to access the Akashic records. Because even though we moved away from the center is still within all of us. So we take the center with us, but it's just hard to access the further away you go from the main antenna, which is the North Pole. So we are portable extensions of that source. And the further away we go from the center, the harder it is to connect with that original source. That's why we need like meditation. We need like crystals and, mantras and items that we use to tap into the center of ourselves, because we so far from the center of the earth, which is just a mirror expression of us. So I think if you go to the North Pole, you wake up wherever you want to be. So when you enter the darkness at the North Pole, you enter your own darkness again. And I think you travel through that darkness. Let's say if me and Marlena want to take a trip to California, I think me and her can use that as a portal by simply thinking about California before we jump into it.
Exactly. And each one does go to the specific places. And it shows on this map that we're doing, it shows which one takes you where. And some of them take you outside of what these parts of land that they show you on a regular map or globe, whatever, those pieces of land. That's the very center of this. So beyond this, there's the 26 more, okay? So each one of these 4 plates of land, right? You have your cross in the middle. In the very center, you have your Mount Meru, or what we have as a symbol with a teepee. Each one of them are directed to a different place outside of that wall, if that makes sense. If you can expand your mind bigger than just you were taught. Expand bigger 26 times.
That's
right there in the very center, right there, the one you're showing us is exactly what our map looks like in the very center. And what we have is each one of these lines that come off of the middle are the 4 colors. And this is also the medicine wheel. So, your north, or whatever you consider north, is white. And then you have each one. So you have your red, black, yellow, and red. Okay, red, black, yellow, and white, right? Each one of those lines are actually those colors on our map. And they all represent the medicine wheel. And this is the center of Mother Earth, the center of Turtle Island. And this is the beginning of the scoots, which a scoot is what those markings are on the back of a turtle. That's why we call it Turtle Island, because that's what it looks like. But yeah, this is almost perfect to our map, that very center. But except for a mountain, we have a teepee picture.
Well, the trick about the North Pole is that it's a hole and a pole. I don't know if that makes any sense.
The only reason why I say pole, the only reason why I say that is because it's easier for people when I'm talking to them. We don't call it the North Pole, but it's easier for people to know where I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But I really don't mean North Pole. I'm saying when we talk about it here, we talk about the center.
I'm totally in agreement with you. I say pole myself.
Yeah. So when we talk about it here in our community and we talk about that place, we talk about the center. So it's also our center. Inside us, we have our center. You know what I mean? So that is the center.
And it's so amazing because inside of us became forfeited in Christ. If you look at this picture, they have the womb with Christ in the middle. There are 4 other deities. As you can see here, there are 4 corners surrounding Christ. There are 4 deities on all of the corners there. And I want you to keep that in mind as we jump over into Mount Meru. So they're telling Jesus is cosmology, but someone will hide that from you if they biblical based. You have to talk about all this stuff in relation to Jesus to know the truth. That's what syncretism is, not just being one way, but looking at all of these to get the truth out.